Let's talk for a moment about the difference between a lifted increase to the left and a lifted increase to the right. Those would be abbreviated in your pattern as L1L or L1R. I have taken the next stitch where I want to work my increase, and I've put 2 stitch markers in it for illustrative purposes. This black one is around the stitch 1 row below what's on my needles. And this blue one is in the stitch 2 rows below what's on my needles. I want to show you what happens. To work a lifted right increase, which means that this increase happens to the right of the stitch you are knitting. It's going to grow out of the right side of that stitch. So if I go in here, I can't, that would just be knitting it. I'm going to come down and I'm going to lift the right leg of that stitch. I don't want to twist it, so I'm just going to stick it up on my needles like this. And I'm going to knit it. And then I knit the stitch. The new stitch has grown out of the right edge of that stitch. And without all the tension on it, it tends to fall down nice and flat and disappear. So now, let me show you what happens when I make one to the left. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put a stitch marker in here, 1 stitch below what's on the needles, 1 stitch below what's on the needles. And then I'm going to take a different color stitch marker and I'm going to do the stitch that's on the needle. So at the moment, I have not yet knitted this stitch, and it's just sitting on my left needle waiting to be worked. I want to lift one to the left. So first I have to knit the stitch. When I do that, the stitch marker that was right up against the needles has sunken down by 1. See that? I can't pick up the left leg of this stitch. I would just be knitting into the same stitch twice, and that gives you that double wrap on your needles that all beginners make by mistake, and that isn't what we want. So instead, what you want to do is you want to come down here, what looks like 2 rows below, because that's what it is, 2 rows below the active stitch on my right needle, and I'm going to lift its left leg, and I'm going to knit it without twisting it. And so what you have is a new stitch that has grown out of the left side of that stitch right here. It's come out and gone to the left. Let me do this without the stitch markers and let you see what that looks like. So I'm going to lift one right. This is the stitch I'm going to knit. I'm going to come down and pick up the right leg of the row below. Put that onto my needles and knit it, and then knit the stitch. Now I'm going to knit this one and I'm going to lift one left. So I can't pick this one up, I just did it. I come 1 row further down. And you can easily identify this if you look for the running thread. See this running thread right here? I want to pick up the left leg of the stitch that is immediately right beside that running thread and knit that, and that's lift one left. So we have lift one right and lift one left. It is not impossible that you could have it ask you to do that in both sides of the stitch. It's really ugly, but you could do it. Lift one right, knit that. Knit one. Lift one left. Knit that one. This would be a double increase, and it does leave a more pronounced hole, so it's pretty uncommon, but it could indeed be done. And it illustrates how both of those stitches were made in the same row, even though it looked like that isn't the case, because when we lift one left, we always have to go 1 row further down, but that's because we've already knitted the stitch. So lift one right happens before you work the stitch it grows out of. So we'll just come down and we'll pick up the right leg, lift one right, put it on the needles and knit it, knit one. Now I'm going to knit one and I'm going to lift one left. Lift one left happens to the stitch on the right needle. You can't get this one. You don't want this one. You want to find the little running thread right here and get the leg of the stitch immediately to the right of it and knit that through the back loops as you pick it up so that you don't twist it. There you have lift one left and lift one right.